Okay. We know the diagnosis of diabetes. Everybody knows here, I believe. So I'm not going there. So global statistics. How many people? About 10% of the world population, 537 people, and 6.7 million deaths, and about $1 trillion cost. US statistics, about 37 million affected, and $327 million cost. You know that. Okay. But probably this cost doesn't affect you that much. And everybody, I know that many people are interested. The more people, the more patient, the heavier is the pocket, heavier is the wallet. So I'm probably the only guy who is trying to walk in the opposite direction. I'm trying to prevent diabetes. Background, animal study. In 2007, a France group showed that metabolic endotoxemia causes obesity and insulin resistance. Insulin resistance, hyperglycemia, diabetes. And what is metabolic endotoxemia? Is the endotoxin, LPS, lipopolysaccharide, which is 2-3-fold higher in the blood, then it is metabolic endotoxemia. And this is the endotoxin, lipopolysaccharide structure. Mark those two P's, phosphorus. Those, if you have those attached, then it is toxic. It's a toxic. But if you can dephosphorylate, it is no more toxic. And gram-positive, those phosphates, if you can flip these phosphates, it is no more toxic. Caused by high fat, high fructose, alcohol, antibiotics, and dysbiosis. And here is the metabolic syndrome, high fat, antibiotic dysbiosis. If you go, I've got a lot of slides, so I'm going a bit quick. So increased endotoxemia, increased gas permeability, low-grade systemic inflammation. Remember, low-grade systemic inflammation. And that leads to ultimately metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome. Okay, chronic inflammation. Inflammation causes diabetes. A lot of papers, you see that Science New England Journal, Science. So inflammation is the root cause of diabetes. And now let me tell about the intestinal alkaline phosphatase. The enzyme is known for sensitivity, but recently it came to our attention. What is it? It's a 150 kilodalton protein produced by your enterocytes in the duodenum, and is located into it passes with the stool. It doesn't go that much into circulation. Whoa. Okay, it detoxifies by bacterial toxins, and then it has so many other things, but it's related now bacterial toxin detoxification. So in 2010, I was working at Harvard with this enzyme, and we had a mice deficient in that gene, intestinal alkaline phosphatase gene. And so we want to, because it's a phosphatase, it might dephosphorylate LPS. So we did a cup intestinal alkaline phosphatase, and we really found that, yes, it dephosphorylates LPS and the free phosphate. If you treat with the CIP, cup intestinal alkaline phosphatase, you get the free phosphate. And then the hypothesis was there that mice deficient in IP gene knockout, they do not produce any alkaline phosphatase. So they should develop hyperglycemia or diabetes. Okay. And so we did that study, and it was published in Proceedings of National Academy of Science. and we saw that wild-type mice, serum endotoxin level is practically very low, and IIP knockout mice had very high serum, and also TNF-alpha, pro-inflammatory markers, TNF-alpha and IL-1 beta was high in the IIP knockout mice. And increased gut permeability, it showed that improved FTTC level was increased. It usually doesn't go to the, if your gut is not permeable, it doesn't enter into circulation. It passes with the stool. But your gut was permeable and it entered into the circulation. And glucose, yes, glucose tolerance test, we did that, and it was abnormal. And IIP knockout mice, wild type, and obese. And the knockout mice were obese. And then I thought, okay, let me supplement, oral supplementation with IIP, what happens? But before that, I had the thinking that, well, it's passing through gastric juice, which is acidic. And this alkaline phosphatase works in the alkaline phosphate condition. Will it be destroyed? So I supplemented the mice with water, and the more concentrated water with CIP, the more I was getting in the stool. So it was not destroyed. So I was confident that it will work. So we did the oral EIP. Just keep an eye on the blue and red. So abnormal one, and because usually you need high fat diet to produce metabolic endotoxemia, okay, and or metabolic syndrome. So we did that on high fat. We put the mice on high fat, and we saw the GTT was high in the high fat induced fed mice, but if it is the water content IIP, it is low. So it was controlled. And about the high fat had a lot of fat in the liver steatosis, and when they are fed with the IIP, no fat in the liver. And it didn't affect that cholesterol, but it affected the what called triglyceride level. Okay, was reduced, and similarly that LDL-C and HDL level went up. Okay, and gut permeability also was reduced, and endotoxemia was reduced, and cecal endotoxemia also was reduced. Okay. Now, next hypothesis was that, well, if IIP knockout mice suffer from hyperglycemia, then humans with diabetes should have less amount of IIP in the stool. And I did that study. It was published in Medicine, and here is the data. Keep on the left side data. Yes. Green is the control. It was about 700 people, I think, total. Green is the control. They don't have any diabetes. And the red is the diabetes. Yes, it's a 50% less. And it's 65 and 35 levels. 65 in the normal and 35 was in the diabetes. And high level of IP is protective against diabetes irrespective of obesity. Obesity has nothing to do with diabetes. Obesity has nothing to do with diabetes. If your IP level is high, if your IP level is high, you don't have to worry about obesity. So obesity is causing diabetes? No. If your IP level is high, you are okay. It's in the left column. Obese, the green one, they don't have any diabetes. And IP level is very high. They don't have any diabetes. And then I started that, okay, let's do a prospective study. Hypothesis that IPD is associated with diabetes. That study case control study showed that, sorry, excellent. That first, case control study showed that it is associated. Diabetes and IAP deficiency are associated, but it didn't prove that it is the cause. So we started to another prospective study, and because that, associated, and mice, we found that mice deficient, IP deficiency might develop diabetes. So my hypothesis was that, yes, IPD causes diabetes. Let's see what happened, what the result we got. Probably you cannot see that, but there are two groups. One is low IP group, red. Low IP group and high IP group. Low IP group has about, less than 65 unit, which is normal. We have our case control study showed that. And high IP group is more than that. Two groups, we monitored them for 5 years. And here is the result. This is the, so baseline it was 65, and follow-up was 65, more than less than 65, first column. This is persistent IPD. Persistent IPD. And then the red one, look that one. This is very critical finding. If you started with less than, baseline was less than 65, but in course of time, it went up 65. And so it protected, it prevented. If you get the remittent IPD prevents it. And the third column, where it is always, it was high IP, always. And they divided very little. It's 8%, and that is about, 30. And the fourth column is the incident. They had high, but in course of time, in 5 years, it went down. And they had about nearly 38, 35%. Okay. So most promising observation here, that if you can remit your IAPD, then you can prevent diabetes. That red column I'm seeing. So this was, probably you won't be able to see this. Now, this is the regression model, and there what we got are the significant by regression analysis, effect of age, effect of lipids, pressure, blood pressure, all those things we did. And yes, they're significant. And this, I don't know whether you can see. If you see that, we then divided the participant into 5 groups. Persistent level of IAP, persistent. One group was 0 to 15. Then the other one was 15 to 30, 33, and then 33 to 55, and 55 to 150, and then more than 150. And if you see the glucose level, rate of change of glucose level, which is double in pentyl 1, and the rate the 34, and pentyl 5, which is the highest one, is only 17. And this is the one, if you see. Pentyl, if you see the risk ratio is about 14. And if you have very high, which is 1, and compared to 1, the number 5 is 14-fold. And 1 is the highest number. 1, what is happening? Okay, on the right, extreme right, that is the more than 115. Okay, and extreme left is the only 15, and it is 14-fold higher compared to that extreme right. And this is the other way of presentation there. The more, the less the enzyme, the higher the risk ratio. Yeah. And we calculated diabetes risk ratio is about 14. and it's 5 years exposure. And we everybody know that lung cancer is caused by smoking. And there the risk ratio is only 3. Of course, if it's only for 10 cigarettes a day, if you eat more than 10 cigarettes, it will be about 8. And if you smoke more than 20, it is about 40. So smoking causes cancer. So my conclusion is that if it is 14, this is 14, it should definitely cause diabetes. And we developed the diabetes pathogenesis model, and it's probably not visible. So I just got that part may be visible. The IP deficiency part. First part was that how IP deficiency developed, and second part is that how IP deficiency causes type 2 diabetes. If you have IP deficiency, you accumulate a lot of toxins in your gut, and that moves into the circulation, causing your metabolic endotoxemia. Metabolic endotoxemia ultimately produces low-grade systemic inflammation, and that systemic inflammation leads to ultimately type 1 and type 2 diabetes. If you affect the pancreatic beta cell, that inflammation affects the beta cell, then you develop the type 1 diabetes. If that inflammation affects the insulin function, production and function, if it affects the production, you are getting the type 1. If it affects the function, you are getting the type 2. Okay? And there are, let's see. And the vital question, are you going to develop diabetes in the near future? So my answer is that do the STAP test. Find out what is your IP level. Find out in your stool what is your IP level. Okay? And then you can predict, are you suffering from IPD or not? Okay? And we have applied to the FDA for the test, and test is patented. And we have the lab-based test, which we can, in 3 minutes, I can tell if you are going to develop diabetes or not. Why it is very important? Lab-based test and home-based test. In the home-based test, 3 minutes you can do it's a stool test, because the enzyme is not that much in the circulation. So it's a stool test. You can immediately, in 3 minutes, you can tell, are you going to develop diabetes? Now, the point is that if I have the resources, 8 billion people, I can screen 8 billion people in 3 minutes. And what is the cost? Only $40 billion. You can start the prevention of global diabetes, $40 billion. You're spending $1 trillion every year. The thing that year, and acknowledge. Okay. Oh, now you have the IPD. Now you'll be the next question. Oh, how can I prevent it? You can prevent. Provide the health with the low fat diet, but fat take the toxin to the circulation. So be careful of the fat. So fat, and then unnecessary antibiotic causes dysbiosis. Okay. Drinks containing fructose. Fructose causes metabolic syndrome. Okay. So, and you may use some yogurt. Okay. Exercise, drugs, all those things you can. Holistic therapy. And future strategy, okay, manufacture recombinant IP. And you can use the recombinant IP and oral supplementation recombinant IP, or identify IP activator. Suppose we know some turmeric increases the IP, but we don't eat that much turmeric. It needs we eat about 150, you need about 700 milligram. Okay. So, but clinical trials needed to be conducted with these proposed preventive therapeutic drugs. Okay. conflict. I mean, currently I'm the chief scientist of STAP LLC, and STAP is protected. We're looking for more investment something. If anybody is interested, you can contact us. Okay. Okay.